Warning.
3, 2, 1.
So okay, I'm here with the interview with my friend Jared, who's the guy I've been talking about in my last video, the definition of a gamer part 1, and I wanted to showcase some of his game room, which I'm going to have some of those images up on the screen pretty soon for you guys to look at. But he has years and years of experience. He has a game room that's appraised at approximately $150,000. He literally has like multiple of every console, and so his perspective is very valuable and is right on the money. So I just really wanted to get his perspective. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and open up the floor to let him talk a little bit about, you know, his philosophies on gaming, what he thinks a real gamer is, why he loves gaming, what got him into gaming, maybe some of his favorite games, his favorite moments from some games, just whatever he wants to talk about, and we're just going to bounce it back and forth. So, you know, Jared, go ahead, feel free and chime in, buddy.
All right, man. I appreciate you having me on here. I've been really excited to do this with you. First and foremost, of course, you know, I'm very big into games. It's my one and true passion in life. Outside of school, it's what I do to, you know, keep a level head, you know, all that good stuff. But really started gaming when I was about 3 years old on the Intellivision, which actually my dad had purchased 10 years before I was even born. So you can imagine the hardware was quite old when I got my hands on it. But that's where I really have my roots, is on that Intellivision. I didn't get my first system until I was 5 years old with the NES. Absolutely loved playing my Super Mario Brothers, my Duck Hunt, all that good stuff. I'll tell you, there were multiple times where, you know, right after I got my NES, my parents were like, okay, you know, it's time for you to get a shower. You know, I'd do my thing. I wouldn't take the time to get any clothes on except for my Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtle underwear, get that on, and I'd be sitting right in front of the TV playing my Mario Brothers. So, yeah, I see Blake over there smiling, another buddy of ours. But anyway, so like I said, I've been gaming since I was 3 years old. I'm 30 now, so that's a little over 27 years I've been gaming. I actually started studying video games and video game history when I was 7 years old. Been doing that ever since. So I now have, let's see, Tuesday, or this upcoming Tuesday, I'm going to have 46 different systems in my game room. Now keep in mind that I have multiples of a lot of systems. For example, the Atari 2600 has 3 different versions, and I have all 3 different versions. But I only count that as one system, so I have well over 100 systems in my game room. Of course, I love playing games, but I'm also a collector. I love getting my hands on anything rare and valuable. Love getting all that kind of stuff. As far as my favorite genre of game, I would have to say it's probably going to be RPG, or really RPGs, or anything that's really story driven. I really love something that has a good story behind it. I'm not really into games that are just straight action. I want to be able to really get immersed in the story and really get a feel for what the character's doing, why the character's doing this in the story, why I should care what they're doing, you know, all that good stuff. Now, what other questions did you have for me?
Oh, so that's a really good introduction you did there, and wow, like well over 100 systems. I'm actually sitting in the room right now, looking over the room, and there's definitely a lot of stuff in here, and there's just so much stuff, and it's just a lot of stuff's packed on top of each other, packed behind each other. I mean, you would literally probably need 2 or 3 rooms just to fit everything out and, you know, space it out to make sure that everything could be seen. Yeah. So I'm definitely not seeing over 100 systems, but the way that everything's laid out, I can definitely tell there are definitely probably hundreds of systems in this room. So that's just absolutely phenomenal. I guess, so what would be your particular definition of a gamer?
Honestly, after you know, you and I really having our talks about games and what I felt like a real gamer was, and what your what you felt like a gamer was, I'd have to say that it's you know, kind of changed a little bit. I used to be somewhat of an elitist when it came to video games. I was, you know, I would say, you know, this person over here only plays sports games and first-person shooters. That person's not a gamer. I would have people like that come up to me. I would just meet them like, oh, cool, you're into games. What do you play? And then they were like, oh, I play, you know, Call of Duty and maybe Madden. I'm like, and I would used to think to myself, you know, you're not really a gamer, and I would get aggravated by it. But I have to tell you that that's really a narrow-minded view when it comes to video games, because what is a video game? A video game is really there to provide a form of entertainment for us, to be able to have an alternate view or alternate reality than what we currently are living in. It's so that we can escape, you know, the fact that, you know, we may have bills to pay, or, you know, we have a job that we're not particularly enjoying. So anything that's able to get you out of that life, even for just a moment, you know, I really say that if it's able to do that, that's a game. Maybe it's not something that falls in line with what I particularly enjoy, but you know, that really doesn't matter. As long as that person is having an enjoyable experience, that's really all that matters, and that's what games are really for, is just having that enjoyable experience.
Okay, yeah, I can see that, and I agree with that. And you know, so in my last video I was talking about how, like, if you only play Call of Duty, or if you only play NBA 2K14 or 2K15, whatever it is, then you wouldn't necessarily be classified as a gamer, but you would be classified as a Call of Duty player, or you would be classified as a NBA 2K player,
yeah.
Which that is a video game, but it's not necessarily a gamer. So, I mean, would you agree with me that typically a gamer would be somebody who would play a variety of genres across maybe multiple platforms?
Oh, most definitely. I will say, I wish I could think of his name off the top of my head, but I do know that it was one of the higher-ups. I don't know if it was one of the creators, per se, but I know someone who was heavily involved in the Call of Duty series, and he said, and this is not verbatim, of course, but he did say something along the lines of, those who are such huge Call of Duty fans, but then call themselves gamers and don't really play anything else, are hardcore Call of Duty players, not hardcore gamers. Now, I will have to say I do agree with that, but not in a derogatory way. And like I said, maybe that genre of gaming really isn't my cup of tea. But again, if that person's enjoying what they're doing, then, you know, by all means, do what you're doing. You know, I'm not going to say that person's not a gamer, but yeah, you're exactly right. Someone who really enjoys a wide variety of video games and doesn't limit themselves to just one or two genres really would be more the definition of a gamer.
Okay, great. Sounds good. And so let's switch it up a little bit, talk a little bit about, you know, I mean, you got a lot of stuff in this room, and I'm really trying to showcase as much as I can on the video. Now, out of this room, what would you say is your favorite game of all time? What is your favorite system of all time, and why?
Let's see, favorite system of all time. That one's actually quite easy for me. I love my Dreamcast. That, hands down, is my favorite system of all time. And there are multiple reasons for that. The Dreamcast was really ahead of its time. Now, technically speaking, the Dreamcast was not the very first system to be online as far as being able to play games with people that were maybe in a different city than yours, or even a different country. The Dreamcast by no means was not the first to do that. However, it was the system that really was the forerunner for Xbox Live and being able to play games like Call of Duty, Halo, your Madden, etc., etc., being able to enjoy those the way that we do nowadays. Another reason why I enjoy the Dreamcast so much is because of peripherals. The VMU was an amazing peripheral, and it may not seem like anything that was a big deal because it was just a little cheap black LCD screen with I couldn't even tell you, just a handful of pixels on screen. But the things that you could do with it, as far as being able to hook up with people that had a VMU with similar games as your own, being able to share data with one another, being able to play little miniature games that otherwise you wouldn't be able to experience. Things like that. Sega was really thinking outside of the box when it came to that system, and unfortunately, it was buried under the the PS2, but not just the PS2, but because it was released in between generations, which is very unfortunate because it's such an excellent system. As far as my favorite game series of all time, that one's a little tougher. My favorite game series of all time that was on the Dreamcast, for example, would be Shenmue. Absolutely love that series, and if I were to explain why, this video would be running into probably close to an hour from just talking about that one game alone. But overall, my favorite game system, or I'm sorry, game of all time would be Metal Gear Solid. Again, it would be due to the fact that I really enjoy story-driven games. But not only do I get the story behind the character and all the other characters involved in the game, I also get to enjoy the gameplay of, you get the action, you get to sneak around. It's just a multitude of genres kind of put into one that you get to enjoy all in one game. So, very enjoyable series.
Okay, great, great. And, getting ready to wrap up the interview, getting close to the time limit marker. Last question I would ask you. I'm looking around the room, and I remember you telling me, because I asked you specifically, how do you just collect so much stuff without spending every dime you have? And if I remember correctly, you told me, you said, as a kid, if I saved up lunch money or allowance and I bought a game, I never traded it in. If it was given to me, I never got rid of it. And obviously that has been something that has worked. I mean, this just looks phenomenal, and your game room is, encouraging, to say the least. Now, out of all that, do you have any regrets?
I appreciate you saying that about my game room. As far as regrets, honestly, I wouldn't say I have any regrets. I will say that there have been those days where I'd have friends call me like, "Hey, Jared, we're gonna go do such and such," and it was either A, I choose to spend the money to go out with these friends, or B, hey, I'm trying to save up for this game or this system or whatever. There have been a lot of times where I had to make sacrifices as far as hanging out with friends or whatever, and I chose to save up for a game. And that's not to say I don't always hang out with my friends, but regrets-wise, no, I wouldn't say that I have any regrets, but really the only regret I could say I have is that there have been a few games where I just had a feeling, Jared, you should get this game, it's going to be worth something, and I held off on it, and guess what, that game wound up being worth something and being a very difficult to find game, and guess what, I haven't been able to find it since.
Now, real fast, since you bring that up, do you have an example of that? And more specifically, do you still have that game, or did you sell it?
I have never gotten rid of any game that I've gotten since I was 3 years old, whether it was given to me or I purchased it, or whatever, like you said earlier. As far as a game that comes to the, let's see, probably Shenmue 2 for the Dreamcast, because of course that was not released in the US. It was only released in the UK and PAL versions.
Okay, so very rare.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to find. And, I mean, it's not terribly expensive, but when there's so many games for the current and next gen systems that I want to get that are about the same price, it's kind of like, well, do I want to get a game I'm not going to play and just collect, or do I want to get this game I really want to play with friends or whatever? So it's kind of a balancing act of sorts.
All right, I got you. Well, that's I think that's all the time we have. But wow, what a great interview! Thank you very much for your time. Thanks for the experience, and I hope to get to collaborate with you maybe on future videos.
Oh, most definitely.
Until next time, man. I guess I'll talk to you later.
All right, man.
All right, thanks, man. Hey guys, thanks for checking out my video. I hope you enjoyed it. Be sure to hit that subscribe button. Also, make sure you're following me on Twitter, and you can always catch me live streaming games on Twitch. The links will be in the description below. And until next time, this has been another video by Isaiah 53.